Saturday. Dustin Starr here for the live reaction, and I am sitting here in my backyard right down the street from Memphis, Tennessee, and man, oh man, what a day on Memphis Wrestling. Let me see, I feel like I'm in the shadows when it's really just such a beautiful day here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'll give you guys just a second to log in. I want to remind you that we do have a members-only Q&A that's going to be taking place here today immediately following this live reaction. What's up, Rico? How are you? And then some of your questions I'll be able to answer here, and then some I'll have to answer on our members only. But what a day, episode 191. And Rico, you've been there and you've watched every single one of them. I think this was one of the strongest, especially with the surprise that Derek King laid upon us on the program today. And as you can see, it took me by surprise. I had no idea how to react. That would be something that you'd probably discuss in the locker room or at the office leading up to that event. But episode 191 had it all. Two of the biggest, baddest dudes in all of Memphis Wrestling squaring off in the main event for respect. And you know what? I see where the Gun Show is coming from. It did feel like that even after Gun Show pinned K. Toomer's shoulders to the mat 1, 2, 3 in the number one contenders match, it looked like K. Toomer was not done. And so I think today might have really settled the score between the Gun Show and K. Toomer. But anyway, go ahead and put your questions in the comments. Tell me your thoughts on today's episodes. What were the hits? Were there any misses? Meanwhile, I'll tell you that next Sunday, we're back live at the WrestleCenter with WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas. And this is pretty cool and near and dear to my heart because I was able to work with Rocky Soulman Johnson, The Rock's father, in a previous rendition of Memphis Wrestling. So knowing Rocky Soulman Johnson and getting pretty close to him during his time in Memphis Wrestling, and then booking his tag team partner, Tony Atlas, Mr. USA, Hall of Famer. I mean, he was just on Vince McMahon's documentary. He's going to join me on Grind City Wrestling coming up this Tuesday. You can go and follow that at Grind City Media. But anyway, I'm really excited about him. Plus, Tugboat, Typhoon, Shockmaster, Big Bubba, whatever you want to call him, Big Fred is coming back to Memphis Wrestling, and I can't wait. That's all going down next Sunday. So get your tickets at memphiswrestling.tv. You could save $5 per ticket if you use the code Tugboat or the code Atlas at checkout. Rico's here. Eddie Kane, of course, is here. Today's episode really helped me today. I had a rough start to this morning. Well, Rico, thank you for joining us. I'm glad that we were able to brighten your day, even if it was just for a couple of minutes, man. Just keep grinding, brother. Richard says, love Jordan Grace showing up. It was awesome. Thank you. We've had Jordan Grace here a couple of times. And, of course, coming up again on Saturday, a special Saturday, November 30th, Jonathan Gresham returns to Memphis Wrestling as part of our Stars of Tomorrow. And I am proud to announce, and I'll go ahead and do it right here since you guys were cool enough to join us on the live reaction. It will be, for the first time ever, one-on-one. Jonathan Gresham, the Octopus, will square off against three-time Memphis Wrestling Internet Champion, the Boz, Tim Bosby. That's going to happen on Saturday, November 30th, and it will air on our Stars of Tomorrow program. Jeffrey is here. I love that championship badge. Says, hey, Dustin, one of the best shows ever from Memphis Wrestling. Robert's here. How are you? Rico, what do you think about Roman Reigns going to do about Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline? I think they're going to kick all their butts at the upcoming Survivor Series. Nathan, what's up? Can't wait to meet Tugboat and Tony Atlas. Me too. Two of my childhood favorites. I wrote a letter to Hulk Hogan when the earthquake squashed him, and Tugboat broke my heart when he turned heel on Hulk Hogan. Anyway, what's up, Glenn? How are you? Patrick, did you get to meet The Rock? No, I did not get to meet The Rock. I worked really good with Rocky Soulman Johnson, and even when we were doing Young Rock at the WrestleCenter and here in Memphis, I had a couple of action figures that I looked up and bought just in case. And I had Yuli, who was the actor who portrayed the Attitude Era Rock. He signed one of them, and we've got a nice frame. I need to post that up for members only. A nice frame on the wall with a bunch of autographs on it. The Greatest is here. You look like a Diddy type. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. I'm not really sure what that means. Eddie Kane with a $5 donation. Can't wait for October 27th. Eddie Kane already has his tickets. Also, he has his white leather strap, Memphis Heritage Championship, just like Mike Anthony held. And we got to get a picture of that, Eddie Kane. Rico said episode 23 when K Toomer debuted and took on Carter Matthews, and it has been absolutely crazy since then. K Toomer has become one of the most popular and most powerful superstars in the history of Memphis wrestling. And then also, I'm proud to announce that coming up next year, which is 2025 baseball season, we're going to return to Little Rock, Arkansas with the Arkansas Travelers. And I mention that because K Toomer, the big man, is from right there in Little Rock, Arkansas. Brian is here. What's going on, Brian? Rico says, I somewhat like the trivia questions. Something you should do with all the fans. Not really a trivia question, but if you guys are really good at these dates, it might take me a minute to look them up. So much is going on in this head, it's hard to just spout off episode 35 or whatever the case may be. The greatest, I don't know, the greatest is here trolling, so I'll give you, that's two. I'll give you one more of the greatest. Despite Erica Torres not winning, it's always great to see new female talent. Erica Torres was legit, man. I can't wait to see her back in Memphis Wrestling, and you will see her back very, very soon. Bo says, Eddie Kane May about to become officially featured fan of the week. That's, oh, there you go. Yeah, we'll definitely get Eddie Kane May as the new Ghost River Brewing Company fan of the week. Big shout out to Ghost River Brewing Company. Of course, they have two locations, Beale Street and Main Street. We're going to be live at Main Street coming up on Saturday, November the 23rd. Those tickets are on sale right now, MemphisWrestling.tv. And it's pretty cool to be able to watch Memphis Wrestling and also throw back a nice cold beer. Robert Carter, Big Dustin, will we see you back in the ring anytime soon? Absolutely not. I go into a little bit of detail on that on our members-only Q&A that we did just last week, so go ahead and check that out. But yeah, I will not be back in the ring. Robert says, Dustin, what do you think about Moxley's rampage on Dynamite? I thought it was very, very cool. I just wish they would stop including so many people. Like, they could have just left that with Bryan Danielson and Moxley in the ring. And I talked all about that on Grind City Media, on the Grind City Wrestling podcast. But I'm loving this version of Moxley, I'll tell you that. He's in shape. He can cut a promo, and he is a badass. Makari Candy was doing Jay Webb's hair. Yeah, it did appear that that's what was going on. Don't ask me, Rico. I have no idea. Jamie Davis, King Jamie, you and Devin shitting on AEW again. Come on. I told you, it's like, who was in the chat today that was hate watching our program? I guess that's what we do is hate watch AEW. But come on, Jamie, you've got to admit, the referee pushing Anna Jay's shoulders down was absolute trash. Come on, man. Paula, love Memphis Wrestling. Love you too, Dustin announcing. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate that. Rico says, I hope you can negotiate with Dave and Buster's doing matches there again. Man, that was supposed to happen this year. Gosh, I can't even tell you why that's not happening. I mean, we even did a little bit of a remodeling of the lights in there for these events. So I'm not exactly sure, but man, that's a good point. Rico, that should be an episode. Jamie says, great pod anyway. Sorry, Jamie. Patrick, I'm familiar with Erica Torres. She's worked some dates in California Wrestling Association. Yeah, she's all over the place. And lots of accolades, as you heard on the program today. Willie says, hi, Dustin. Who would be a good challenger for C-Rex's Memphis Wrestling women's title? Willie, that is a really good question. And I do mean no disrespect at all. But looking at the division right now, I don't know if there's anybody that has the size and strength of C-Rex. But that's a very good question. I'll ask you guys. Who's a good challenger for C-Rex in the women's championship? Or is it Nixie XS's championship? Nathan says, I'd love to see you back in the ring, Dustin. But if that's not where your heart is, we love you behind the desk. Well, I appreciate that. Usually I'm pretty cringy behind the desk, but hey, now, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I think I should have. Well, I can't say that I should have started promoting wrestling earlier, because towards the end of my career, those last 10 or 12 years or something, I did sign a contract and also just had the time of my life. And I think that was the highlights of my career with my Maria and all that kind of stuff. Mr. Tennessee, Dustin Starr. So, but I am excited to be helping everybody else out and then also building Memphis Wrestling to what I think it could be. Give me a couple more years. Oh, yeah. Jeffrey says, you make sure, Eddie Kane Main, make sure you wave us some members only friends while you're in the crowd. Rico, I thought that was the most genius thing I've ever seen in pro wrestling. Not sure what this means, Raj. Glenn, what talent coming to Memphis from Texas? Hey, that's a good point. Reality of Wrestling's Johnny Lyons showed up today and picked a fight with Mike Anthony, the Genetic Nightmare, and had a championship match on our show. So from Reality of Wrestling, a little bit of an invasion, if you will. But Mike Anthony was able to hold his own and retain the Memphis Wrestling Internet Championship. Big shout out to Booker T. They're doing big things. I saw where they just got Joe Hendry coming up on one of their programs. And believe me, I'm saying his name, Joe Hendry. I hope he appears in Memphis Wrestling at some point. But yeah, very, very cool stuff with Reality of Wrestling. And I think you'll see some more stars from Reality of Wrestling coming very, very soon. Hopefully we'll get Booker T back in there as well. Willie says, Gun Show Brett Michaels will be the Memphis Heritage Champion. We're approaching milestone 200, and I couldn't think of a better time or place for the Gun Show one-on-one with the problem Aaron Roberts, and that's milestone 200, so stay tuned. Rico says, I can't also forget about having no, we will not have matches there, Rico, sorry, but we will be back at Ghost River. If I get on the mic, I'll be sure to shout you out. Eddie K, man, we're going to give him a live mic. What's up, Keith? How are you? Patrick's here. If you had a chance to book Howdy Price, would you have booked him? Whatever happened to him? I'm not sure what happened to Howdy Price, but I haven't seen him actually doing any professional wrestling work in just a minute. I did book Howdy Price. I think the pandemic prevented him from coming. The only thing about booking somebody like Howdy Price is he, business-wise, lives all the way out in California. So, I mean, you got about $1,000 flight just to get him here. So, I mean, we don't have a lot of seats, brother. So, again, there's that old budget thing sticking out here. So, but yeah, we would have booked him, but it would have been hard to do that. Just like some of the other talent that we'd like to book from California. What's up, Brandon? How are you? Who you got winning tonight, Georgia or Texas? I'm going SEC with Georgia. Bo says maybe Makari and DDT's friendship could elevate them and Nixie and C-Rex's friendship level. That's a high level for them to reach. Man, I just think there's a big difference in the aggression of a C-Rex and Nixie XS and a Makari Candy and even a DDT. I mean, there's just a whole another level of aggression, I feel like. Nathan, I'd love to see Will Allday back. Yeah, Will Allday is back at Reality of Wrestling. I'd imagine we'd see him soon at Memphis Wrestling. He just got done, I think, with a bicep tear. Now he's back. Willie says Cassandra Golden could be a great challenge against C-Rex. That's a good point, Willie. I'm a huge fan of the Golden one. Jamie Davis says, go back and watch Lawler matches. He killed every monster that came through. That's how you beat C-Rex. Well, I guess in order to beat C-Rex is you got to never give up. You got to fight like hell. And sometimes it takes perhaps a little bit of luck. Mary, how are you? Welcome. She says hello from Ohio. I say hello back from Memphis. Keep an eye on Chandler Hopkins, says Glenn. Patrick says, is it hard to bring in guest tag teams? Yes, unless they sell a lot of tickets. Brandon, will Booker T bring Zilla Fatu to Memphis Wrestling? Let me tell you, bro. I have been trying to book Zilla Fatu for 2 years. Stay tuned, Brandon. Rico says, Dustin, you definitely deserve your props in bringing in local promotion. Your vision is truly unimaginable and unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, Rico. Where are you located? Rico in the live chat said that he's watched since episode 35, and he's watched every single episode since then. So I appreciate that, man. Anybody else watched every single episode so far? Also, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put those in there, and I'll try to reply to those. Also, if you're watching this and I'm no longer live, I'll try to do a good job about going back and responding to those questions as well. United Wrestling Network is here on this YouTube channel coming up tomorrow at noon. We had Derek King announce his in-ring retirement today on Memphis Wrestling. We had the Gun Show, boom, one-on-one with the master of Fat Jitsu, K. Toomer. We heard from the 420-pound problem, Aaron Roberts, and also Reality of Wrestling star Johnny Lyons interrupts Mike Anthony, challenges him to a match right then and there. And who could forget All the Way Ray out making a C-rate movie, according to Pete Pranica. Thank you for that, Pete. And then Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock sitting ringside watching Jay Smooth go one-on-one with Big John Dalton. Also today, it was announced that on Sunday, December 8th, is the Memphis Wrestling Grind City Rumble featuring TNA Wrestling superstar AJ Francis. I can't wait for that. Also, Rico, thank you for that, brother. I really, really, really do appreciate that, and I feel like we're only just getting started. Robert says, Dustin, any chance of Jack Banning coming to Memphis Wrestling? I don't know, man. I would love to bring Jack Banning, but again, Jack Banning is located all the way in California. And the reason I mention that, it costs a lot of money to fly these guys in. So it just makes it really difficult unless they do a loop around the Mid-South or something like that. That makes it a little more feasible. Mary says, I'd love to see all the old school wrestling. Well, we try to bring you the new school wrestling in an old school flavor. Jeffrey, Willie Bowen is right. Cassandra Golden versus C-Rex. I think that would be a heck of a contest. Rico says, you've got an amazing group of athletes, man, and I can't wait for what's to come. Me too, Rico. I am so fired up, and we've got the Stars of Tomorrow coming up, and we're filming that on November the 30th. That's a Saturday. It's a special episode that will air right here on Memphis Wrestling and on our television stations. Jonathan Gresham, one-on-one with Tim Bosby is going to be spectacular, but then also taking a look at some of the up-and-coming Stars of Tomorrow. And the Grind City Rumble is right around the corner. So this could be a very good stepping stone to get noticed and enter the Grind City Rumble. And of course, we know that 30 superstars enter the ring, both men and women. Every man and woman for themselves. The final two competitors have a one-on-one contest right then and there. The winner goes on a super bout for a championship opportunity of their choosing. Love to see Progress Wrestling versus Memphis Wrestling. It could happen. Cook says Memphis Wrestling's the best show available. I agree with that. I know I'm a homer, but I do agree with that. Nobody's doing it the way that we're doing it. Paula, Dustin, I watch almost every week. I see woman and man on a second row. Are they promoters? Paula, man and women. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think we have any promoters sitting in the front row, but you will see. Okay, so this is kind of a funny story. At first, certain people thought maybe we should move the crowd around at the WrestleCenter in between tapings so it didn't look like it was the same people all the time. And then we quickly realized that our fans do not want to sit in any other seat other than their own. And then that brought up our, it's not really a season pass, but for instance, King Davis that's on here, he doesn't have to worry about his seat. He's got a code that has it locked in all the time. So that was kind of our way around that. But instead of moving the people around and making it look different, it's different, man. It's like the same people sitting in the same seats every single time. And I love it because it reminds me of old classic Memphis wrestling at the TV studio on Channel 5. But yeah, Paula, I don't think that there's promoters sitting in the front. Cook says, watch since day one. Rico's from Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, I got you. Big fan of wrestling, says Mary. Well, I appreciate it. Take that subscribe button to Slap City for us. Join us every single Saturday at noon. It's live. What happened to Humongous? Nothing. I'm not sure. The character, I'm sure you'll see the character return at some point. Gun Show dressed as Humongous. Also, I'm pretty sure we'll see Humongous at some point very soon anyway, because Psycho Sid Vicious lived right down the street. So stay tuned for that. All the way working on Tarantino's final movie as we speak. Yeah, right. Hey, Andrea, how are you? Jamie says, I saw every episode live and online. I love YouTube, so I can be late sometimes. Well, we appreciate that, King, man. Manny's here from India. What's up? Appreciate that. Andrew says, how do you feel about Cody Rhodes versus Gunther at Crown Jewel? I feel like Cody Rhodes has to win, and that's all there is to it. Rico, I told you that I was training with CCW, but unfortunately 3 people from my class was picked while the others and myself did not, but I'm not giving up. Rico, do not give up. Whatever you do, do not give up. The only way that you can guarantee that you will not make it in what it is that you're trying to do is by giving up. That guarantees that you do not make it. So as long as you keep trying, you've got a shot. And I think I speak for everybody. We believe in you, brother. Keith says, Joe Tessitore is the best boxing commentator ever. Glad he's in WWE. Keith, I actually like Joe Tessitore. I think he's doing a great job. Eddie K-Man says, I went back and watched the first 3 episodes of Memphis Wrestling and didn't know Delicious Van Vicious was DK's flunky. Oh, man. Back in the, was it the King's Court or the Royal whatever? I don't even remember what it was called. But yeah, Patrick says, is that the reason that there's not a crossover between UWN and Memphis is budget reasons? Well, I mean, clearly it's just one-sided at that point because they're not running any shows. So it's basically a UC reality of wrestling. We send people there and Booker sends people back. United Wrestling Network is not running any shows. So it's kind of like a one-sided relationship at this point. So had they been running, then they probably would. It would probably be more active, yes. But budget reasons are a lot of that, obviously. Being so far apart, Houston's a lot closer than Hollywood. Rico says there are other wrestling schools in Florida, but I'm trying to find the one that's close, and the only one is Team Vision Dojo in Orlando. Have you hit up Natty Neidhart in the dungeon? That would be pretty cool. Glenn, I do not think we're doing the Trios rings this year. R.I.P. Trios rings. Nathan, me and Mr. P love our seats. Oh, I know, man. I'll get a text like, hey, brother, where's my seat? I love it. Glenn, yes, Gary Nations is still around. I think he's lost his mind. Paula, I worry about them when I don't see them. Hi, Dustin. How do you feel about the Motor City Machine Guns WWE debut on SmackDown? I loved it. I thought it was great, too. Very well deserved from those two guys. Congrats to the Motor City Machine Guns. Lois and her husband are in the second row every week. Yeah, they're not wrestling promoters, though. Can't believe Motor City Machine Guns are in WWE, says Rico. I love it. I thought it was great. I'm glad that they bypassed NXT. They can always go and make an impact in NXT later, but why not just make them superstars on SmackDown? They're both very good. Keith says, I can't believe Derek King's retired. It's shocking. Yeah, it is for me, too. And I typically would say that I don't believe it, but I do. I'm very good friends with Derek King. Of course, he's been a trainer at the WrestleCenter. He trained me pretty much, took me on the road, took me to OVW, met Brock Lesnar, Jim Cornette, Shelton Benjamin, gosh, Leviathan, who is Dave Bautista. Yeah, me and DK go way, way, way back. And so for him to be hanging up the boots, I would typically say, nah, he's lying. But he put it out there on television, on a platform where a lot of people see it. And I think he really means it at this point. So Derek King, I believe, is going to be done with his in-ring career. Now, I'm sure that he'll continue to help train the stars of tomorrow and potentially work as a producer backstage with Memphis Wrestling. I mean, you never want to just fully step away, especially when it's right down the street from your house, and especially when you have such great viewership as Memphis Wrestling does. And I see the analytics here on YouTube. I see them on Facebook. And then, of course, our television coverage is tremendous, working with some very, very good sports teams, Memphis Redbirds, Arkansas Travelers, Memphis Grizzlies, University of Memphis Tigers football. So, I mean, like, you don't want to step completely away from that. But once your in-ring career is done, it is done. Mine is done. And now I believe that Derek King's is done as well. And you saw that handshake just with the hug at the end. That was something that me and Derek King came up with, a little behind the scenes here before we go to our members only. Me and Derek actually were doing extra spots with WWE at the Pyramid, of all things, back when the Pyramid was an entertainment venue in downtown Memphis. And we saw Jeff Hardy and one of his friends do this amazing secret handshake. And we both looked at each other and were like, oh my God, like, we got to do it. And so then we came up with our own version of that handshake. And we've done it on television, and we've done it everywhere that we possibly could do it. And that was, obviously, I had no idea that DK was doing that, or what he was going to say. And we did fit the handshake in there, though. So, all right, here, let me get all caught up, and then we'll go to the members only. Yeah, Cook, there it goes, secret handshake. I hit it right on the money there. Yep, no more trios rings. Bo can never forget the time someone hit the ceiling off the top rope during the early ballroom episode. Yes. Oh my gosh, I thought we were in big trouble with that because the top of the line banquet hall already kind of didn't want us there, but we did have an agreement for a certain amount of shows. And meanwhile, we were working on the WrestleCenter trying to get it complete for the grand opening. And then we busted that tile, and I thought they were going to shut the show down right then and there. But luckily they didn't. They kind of laughed about it, and we fixed it. Rico says, I think Ray Sanders could do well as a single star. Yeah, Ray Sanders, he's only been doing it a couple of years. I think that he might need some mentorship from Derek King, if possible. If not, we'll see what he does in his singles career all alone. Patrick says, I don't know if you should or could but there were a few UWN stories that need to be finished. Would you finish them? I probably would not finish them, Patrick, because I don't even know what they are. Rico says, Dustin, what's going on with that phony reverend and the fan? I have no idea, but next week is our Halloween spooktacular, and if there's any day that we would see the reverend show up with his righteous trash, it would have to be on Halloween, right? Stay tuned. Willie says, is Derek King related to wrestling legend Sonny King? No, he is not. Glenn says, Ripley back in the day. Ripley back in the day. I remember those days, brother. Jamie says, what's up with Tigers football player? They did their jersey reveal at the WrestleCenter this week, so go check that out. It's very, very cool stuff. Shout out to the University of Memphis. Do you think Mid-South Coliseum could be remodeled? I think that it can, but I don't think that it will. I think it will eventually be torn down unless an investor goes in and creates something. It could be like an amphitheater, because the Memphis Sports Complex is right there. So is Liberty Bowl. So is, I believe, the Cook Convention Center. And so there's some activity over there, and there's not really very many places to eat. So if you made it some sort of amphitheater with some special, photo ops and maybe some food trucks or something like that. But I'm just making stuff up. I really don't think it's a priority of the city. Bo says, just as long as DK doesn't wear any oddly colored suits like Mark Henry and AJ Styles, he's retiring. The fan with Reverend is crazy. I agree, Paula. Butterbean was a great fighter. His boxing skills were deadly. Keith, who's he going to knock out when he's here in Memphis Wrestling? Patrick says, are you familiar with GWF Onslaught? They're claiming usage of the USWA Unified World Heavyweight Championship. What's your take on that? Don't know who the GWF is. Don't think that it matters. There's only one USWA Unified World Heavyweight Championship, and that's why we don't use the Unified World Heavyweight Championship. That's why we don't use the Southern Heavyweight Championship. We're doing our own thing, and I think it is a little silly to try to rejuvenate the USWA Championship anywhere except for Memphis anyway. And then also I think it's ridiculous to do it here in Memphis too. So Andrea, hi Dustin. I hope King Cobra does something about the women's championship. Well, at this point, what is he going to do? What do you want him to do at this point? I don't know that he really needs to make a ruling as long as the championship is defended. I'm sitting here thinking, just because Nixie says that she's the women's champion doesn't necessarily mean that she is the women's champion. So I guess we'll see what happens in the upcoming title defenses, because you would imagine the championship has to be defended. So again, stay tuned. Brian says, see you guys later. Have a great weekend. Love Memphis Wrestling. Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate it. Rico says, Dustin, who do you think in Memphis is the best in boxing? Man, I don't know. Lala, is you ready to go to the hospital? Leon Spink said that on Memphis Wrestling a long time ago. Keith says Butterbean knocks out Jimmy Blaylock. I got a Jimmy Blaylock update coming up on the members only. Think it should be a museum hall of fame of Memphis Wrestling. Yeah, but that would never. Let me tell you guys before I go real quick. When we started Memphis Wrestling and we booked our VIP attractions, we booked Dave Brown and we booked Jerry Jarrett. And we didn't sell any VIP tickets. We filled the house, but we didn't sell any VIP tickets. Then I booked AEW superstar Lance Archer, and that changed the game because Archer sold a lot of VIP tickets and sold a lot of merchandise and regular tickets as well. So, what do you think I should do as a business promoter if these guys don't sell VIP tickets, but the other guys do? That puts you in a situation where you have to listen to the fans, and that's exactly what happened. Meanwhile, as I say that, Robert Gibson and King Cobra had 1.6 million views on a video on Facebook. So it tells me that we want to see them, but maybe not pay to see them. And I'm talking about the older generation. So that's why I think a Memphis Hall of Fame, standalone would not work. But at some point at the WrestleCenter, you will see some sort of Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Stay tuned. Rico says, Dustin, do you watch Backyard Wrestling? No, I do not. Do you watch OVW? No, I watch some clips of OVW. If you really love Memphis Wrestling, please hit the like button for Dustin. Thank you, Eddie Kane, man. I'll get through with these, and then I got to go because we have to do members only. Patrick says UWN was hyping Danny Limelight versus Slice Boogie and Zicky Dice versus Kevin Martinson for the Heritage title after Zicky Dice stole the belt. Okay. Rico says, thank you, Dustin and Memphis Wrestling. Thank you, brother. Andrea, how do you feel about Nick Namath versus Joe Hendry for the TNA World Championship at Bound for Glory? Will we finally see Joe Hendry win the championship? It could happen. Let's hope Kingston and Xavier's issues are resolved. No more mishaps. Love the New Day. I love the New Day too. Under the Mat podcast, Dustin, it's crazy how Mike was most hated to like a fan favorite. Yes, I think that's respect. Mike Anthony acts the same way that he did previously, except for now he's back to his winning ways. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for the live chat. Thank you even more for joining me here for the live reaction. And now I'm about to go live on members only, and I'll tell you a quick story about Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock, and then also I'll answer any questions that you have. Get them ready. I'll see you there. Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys.